Hey guys, welcome back to the Buzz Weaver channel, and of course we're covering the top stories today. This particular top story will not be monetized for obvious reasons. Also, I may sound a bit odd at times when I'm speaking, and that is because, of course, I have to navigate the YouTube AI and, of course, protect or make it family-friendly, as family-friendly as I can considering the topic. So, from Bradenton Herald, Palmetto principal has a warning for school shooters. We are going to put them down. I want to play a little bit of this so you can hear it.
We're not going to talk with them. We're not going to negotiate. We're going to put them down as quickly as we possibly can. That's just the reality of the situation.
That is the reality of the situation. We have tried gun control. Gun control continues to be tried. And the reason that gun control is not effective in the way that gun control activists want it to be is because gun control mostly affects law-abiding citizens. Outside of schools, you will see a sign that says, "No guns allowed." That means that law-abiding citizens are more likely to follow the rules and the law. Criminals do not. That's why law-abiding citizens are called law-abiding citizens, and criminals are called criminals because they don't obey the law. I hope that is as clear and concise as I can make it. Here on the Buzz Weaver channel, what we do is we take the difficult, the complicated, and sometimes the chaos and try to bring it down to a digestible level so people can understand. Now, I understand that no matter how articulate, how well spoken, how clear, how common sense intended I am, there will always be those who have their tribal ideology and philosophy that they need to get out there. And my question to them is, why have you not presented a solution? Now, when we look at the tribe, when we look at what Democrats are saying, and let me emphasize here, Democrats and individuals on the left do not compose all of gun control activism. I know Democrats, and I even know leftists, who actually own firearms because reality and common sense will set in at some point. You can have your ideology, you can have your philosophies, and you can have your worldview. However, reality is always going to greet you with all of its iniquity. From President Joe Biden, the surrogate-appointed mail-in ballot president. It's just sick that gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which makes them some of the biggest profits. For God's sake, let's have the courage to stand up to the industry. How about we stand up to criminals? How about we take common sense and apply it to our schools? As I posted to him here, we defend our presidents, Congress, governors, celebrities, sporting events, jewelry stores, banks, office buildings, factories, and courts with guns. We defend our children with a sign that reads, "This is a gun-free zone." Okay? Does this work? Does this work? Does the gun-free signs work? I don't think they do. Is gun control working? It doesn't appear to work. How about we take a common sense approach to this, as we see here in Bradenton or in Palmetto or Manatee School here in Florida? They have an armed individual. I believe he's a former veteran. He's a former veteran, this individual here, who is trained and able. He's carrying a SCAR, if anybody is wondering what type of weapon he has there. Not an AR-15, it is a SCAR, which is, it's a firearm, okay? And we'll get into ARs in a minute. But this individual stands at the only entrance to this school. And I can assure you, anyone who's going to this school to create an issue, to create a problem, much less try to bring a firearm or a weapon to do harm, is going to be met by this individual. Let me ask you something. Do you think that would be effective? Let me ask you another question. When the people at the school in Texas called 911, who do you think they were calling? They were calling people with a gun. Who stopped the shooter at the school in Texas? A Border Patrol agent with a gun. Now, if we know guns stop criminals, why are we not taking that approach like this school in Florida? Why has this not been considered by the Democrats? Because they use it as a political leveraging point. You see here, Biden went straight to the gun manufacturers instead of a solution. Even with the country right now, Biden continues to blame instead of trying to find solutions. He blames and blames and blames. The Democrats blame and blame and blame. They're blaming right now on Twitter. Blaming. I don't see anyone presenting solutions. I don't see any of them presenting solutions outside of gun control, which doesn't work. Do they not understand it doesn't work? But see, instead of trying to find solutions, this is what they do too, like Beto O'Rourke did here. Let's check this out.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sit down.
You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and don't play this.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please.
He is out of line. He's not presenting solutions. He is not trying to come up with ideas to stop this problem. What he is doing is he is scoring political points. Texas gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke went berserk Wednesday. Now, if this were a conservative, or if this were a Republican, or if this were, say, a MAGA, ultra MAGA supporter at a presser for a different event involving Democrats, they probably would have tackled him, charged him with inciting violence, and hauled him off, and then we would hear nothing 24/7 across all the social media about how a deranged Republican conservative or Trump supporter tried to incite violence at a Democrat presser. But instead, of course, Beto O'Rourke knowing who he is, and the Democrats knowing who he is, and him being a political figure, he went out there to score his tribal points. This is very similar to what we see each day on Twitter. Of all the tweets I have seen from gun control activists, I have not seen a single one of them present a solution. Now, I also want to mention, as we see here on the sidebar of this New York Post article, this young man who committed the crime. And this individual was a bullied young man, traumatized by events in his life, a very sad individual, and this is not an excuse for him or a way to defend his actions because they were horrible and terrible and tragic. I have niece and nephews that are young people. I got two of them. Two of them are in elementary school. So I understand the gravity of the situation, nor am I trying to make light of it by illustrating that this individual was a troubled young man and, of course, was on the radar of law enforcement. But let me tell you something. If he walked up to the school in Manatee, Florida, and knew that someone was armed, do you think he would have continued? Now, he may have gone there because, of course, him being deranged, upset, and mentally unstable, he might have tried at least to garner the attention that he wanted or something to that effect. Now, I am purely speculating because, of course, this situation was done under the auspice that he knew what was going on there and knew the situation. And let us not forget what we recently saw from Occupy Democrats. No civilian needs an AR-15, regardless of whatever mental gymnastics you do. You are a special breed of stupid. Meanwhile, breaking. Ukraine's interior minister announced that 10,000 automatic rifles have been handed out to the civilians of Kiev as they prepare to fight tooth and nail to defend their homes against Putin's invasion. So you see, this is what I'm trying to say. You have, in 2016, a statement being made against AR-15s. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Assault is not a weapon. Assault is an action. It doesn't have to be an assault with a weapon. It could be an assault with anything. A knife, a baseball bat, a hammer. Doesn't matter. Assault is just a way to describe something. It is not an actual weapon. But don't you find it interesting that these very same people, as I just said, when reality and common sense sets in, it is unavoidable. They can make these arguments about AR-15s like the president, like Occupy Democrats, yet they acknowledge that these weapons can be used in a common sense way to defend one's country or one's property. So when they ask, why would you need an AR-15? Well, to defend your property. And here's the point. AR stands for Armalite. or is the abbreviation for Armalite, which manufactures weapons. But they don't manufacture weapons for criminals specifically. They don't manufacture weapons to be used by criminals. They use them so that law-abiding citizens can use them in competition as well as tactical. Now, tactical being that, for example, if you want to protect your home, or just like you protect your car with insurance and so forth, you want to make sure that you have an advantage over potential criminals. Because sometimes when your house is broken into or a crime is being committed on your property, it isn't always by just one individual. It could be just one individual, but sometimes it is multiple individuals. And most people are not trained sharpshooters or trained military specialists with firearms. And even those specialists don't always hit their target. That's why you carry magazines with additional ammunition. It isn't so you can be the coolest person out there or to make the weapon look evil. It is to ensure that you have the insurance, the tactical advantage if you have more than one person breaking into your home, and so that you don't have to find a smaller weapon or a smaller magazine weapon, which would require you to have much more precision in your, in your defense. You could also have a shotgun, but you want those additional rounds so that you can ensure that you're not having to reload or find another magazine to be able to protect your property, because seconds matter. I don't think individuals realize how quickly these situations happen. They happen quickly. So you need as much firepower and capability as you can have. And yet, they can acknowledge here that weapons are used to defend one's country and one's property. Defend their homes against Putin's invasion. Defend their homes. That's what Americans want to do with their weapons. They want to defend their homes or defend their property or defend their person. See, there's a rational, cogent, common sense reason to have a firearm. And as I said here, we have all these other areas where firearms are used to protect people. The president, congressmen, governors, so forth, and so on, including stores and so forth. So they carry them. Why? So that they can see how evil their guns can look? No. They carry them because they need them for defense. For defense. I can tell you right now, there's probably not going to be anyone who wants to do any sort of harm to the Manatee School of Arts in Florida with this individual standing there. I welcome your guys' comments, your thoughts down in the published section below. Thank you for everyone yesterday in yesterday's video that was demonetized. Well, not demonetized. It was limited ads. I had to appeal it. So YouTube is just killing me, guys. YouTube is just, I can't compete with mainstream media. I can't compete with a lot of the journalism that's out there. I am a small YouTube creator. Now, of course, I understand my situation. I understand what I'm creating. I understand the content I'm creating, finding ways to come up with solutions. However, I thank all of you guys for your continued support of the channel, your likes, your shares, and your comments. Of course, I have added the super thanks just below and to the right of the video where you guys can donate. If you feel like contributing to the channel, if you feel the content is worth it, by all means, please support the channel, because a lot of my competition out there is the mainstream media, as well as having to contend with disinformation and misinformation, because if it's not something the left agrees with, then they just consider it disinformation. And, of course, there is no sense of fairness or balance when it comes to ideological, philosophical, and worldview principles when it comes to what we as conservatives, the right, Republicans believe, versus the left, who dominate in some of these industries that keep a lot of this content suppressed, deranked, and out of sight of what we can see. So thank you for your shares. Thank you for your likes. All of you on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, DTube, thank you guys for all the recent support, as well as those on Twitter recently, as well as Instagram. If you guys weren't aware, below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to, where I post daily, so you guys can support me there. And the idea here is to at least get eyeballs on my channel if you guys agree with this content. So feel free to share. So thank you all for that. And of course, here appearing on the screen, that would be the channel icon to subscribe to the channel. You can also click on that for notifications, to notify you that there is content here on the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video.